Hi, I'm Danielle. Welcome to my perfume journal. So, as soon as there is even a hint of crispness in the air or one single leaf falls to the ground, I am so totally ready for my spicy perfumes to come out. I love when you go to the grocery store and they have those like cinnamon brooms greeting you at the entrance. To me, that just like signals fall. And though I don't want to smell exactly like a cinnamon broom, I do love a good spicy perfume. So in this video, I'm going to share some of the spicy perfumes in my collection that I love. So first up, we have Moab from Phlur. Yep, this is a Phlur perfume. So before Phlur rebranded and went into Sephora, they only had like a small handful of perfumes in their catalog. And the last one standing from the original line was Hanami, which was a fig, hazelnut, and sandalwood perfume, which I think was their best perfume of all, but that has since been discontinued as well. But we're not here to talk about Hanami, we're talking about Moab. The old Fleurs were done by a number of really notable perfumers. This one was done by Rolf Schweiger. He did Eau de Merveille for Hermes. He did a bunch of perfumes for Atelier Cologne. And probably the one he's most known for is Lipstick Rose for Frederic Malle. So Moab is mostly a clove perfume, but it's kind of like a soft airbrushed clove. It's got some jasmine, some pepper, some tonka, vanilla. It's really smooth. It's not at all harsh. It never goes into that kind of like strong, overwhelming, burn out your nose kind of spice. It's really just like a nice, friendly, spicy perfume. I think this would have been a really good one for Phlur to keep in the line because I don't think that any of their current offerings are like a spicy, woody scent like this one. I might be wrong about that because I'm not super familiar with the current line, but if they re-release this, I think it would sell like hotcakes in the fall or the winter. But this is discontinued. So I was thinking about the closest perfume that I know of that reminds me of this. And it happens to be a really inexpensive perfume that I think is fantastic. It's called Spice and Black Vanilla from Cremo. So if you replaced the jasmine in Moab with tobacco in the Cremo, there's a pretty hefty dose of ambroxan in Moab. So take that out and you have Spice and Black Vanilla. Both of these perfumes give that same warm, spicy, vanillic, wrap yourself in a blanket and sip a cup of spiced tea kind of feeling. I had a bottle of Spice and Black Vanilla from Cremo. I gave it to my dad. He loves it. And I would say it smells about 85% similar to Moab if you're looking for something along these lines of a spicy, vanilla, tobacco-y kind of scent that won't break the bank. So this is Pink Vetiver from Joe Loves, and the featured spices in this perfume are cardamom, nutmeg, cumin, ginger, and pink pepper. And then there's some juniper berry, angelica, amber, and then this big dose of vetiver. So this opens really, really peppery, like a burst of pink pepper, so strong that it would almost like make you sneeze. But that settles down really quickly, and then the warm spices begin to emerge, along with that wonderful woody vetiver base. So there are like cool and warm facets to this perfume that I think really complement each other. You get the coolness of the juniper and the pink pepper and the angelica, and then the warmth of the cardamom, the nutmeg, the cumin, the ginger. And then the vetiver kind of acts as like a bridge between those two temperatures. And I wouldn't be put off by the cumin in the list either. I know that that can be like a little bit of a polarizing note because in overdoses it can smell like BO, but it's really slight in this perfume and it's blended in with the other spices to be kind of like indistinguishable. So for years, this was my going out perfume when I used to go out. Now the best I can do is like wear this on the rare occasion that we are ordering in for dinner. My exciting life with Pink Vetiver. Okay, next we have the Grand Dame, Kenzo's Jungle L'Elephant, the one that doesn't even fit on my little gold stand. This is one of the spiciest perfumes that I own. So, this perfume is definitely not going to be for everyone. And a good deal of the reason behind that is probably because this one does contain a noticeable amount of cumin. And that can be a little bit off putting for someone. So, this perfume is exactly like an elephant. It weighs a ton, it storms into the room, it trumpets loudly, but also like an elephant, it contains like a gentleness that reveals itself if you make good friends with it, if you pay close attention to it. So, yes, there's cardamom, there's clove, there's cumin, there's licorice, but there's also a softness from like heliotrope and vanilla. I think maybe one of the perfumers was Dominique Ropion, in the concept of this scent was referencing like the environment and the diet of the elephant because there's mandarin, there's mango, there's gardenia, tropical ylang ylang. So it would be really easy to just kind of like pigeonhole this perfume as a spice bomb of a scent. But if you get close to it, you can really nose out all of the beautiful notes like one by one by one. They will all reveal themselves in due time, and then you won't be able to unsmell each of them. It's a real beauty. So, one of the things I love most about being a perfume enthusiast is discovering those like hidden gems, and Temps de Piece is a hidden gem. So, for this perfume, I have Fragcom to thank. I saw this perfume featured on an Instagram Pals page. It's got to be like 2 or 3 years ago now. And whenever I see a perfume that I have never seen before, I have to run and look it up. And the more obscure the perfume, the more of a rabbit hole I will go down about it. So I learned that Temps de Piece is one of the perfumes that was released by the designer house of Andrée Putman. She was a prolific and well respected French interior designer who opened her own design house in the late 90s. And then this fragrance line was launched posthumously by her daughter Olivia. There were 5 fragrances in the line. One of the perfumes was designed in honor of Andrée Putman's favorite flower, the magnolia. But Temps de Piece is the spicier offering of the line. It has notes of heliotrope, cinnamon, frankincense, ginger, benzoin, and cedarwood. And I have described this perfume as the story of the gingerbread man, run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me on the gingerbread man. But the gingerbread man runs away and hides under a wooden pew in an old church. That's what it evokes for me. It's spicy, it's slightly sweet, it's not quite gourmand, but it's almost there. It has that resinous frankincense and benzoin that just takes you to church. It's meant to inspire mystical contemplation. And while it doesn't go quite that far for me, I do think it smells really wonderful. This is one of those perfumes I put in some saved searches for, and I waited a long, long time. I had even forgotten that I had put in a saved search for this perfume, but one day a bottle popped up and it was a steal, so I grabbed it, and I would say it was a worthy wait, a successful blind buy, and now one of my favorite spicy perfumes in my collection. And what would a spicy perfume video be without Stash by SJP, one of my top 10 perfumes for life? This is really more of a woody perfume than a spicy perfume, but the spiciness in this is like aromatically undeniable. The spicy notes are sage, black pepper, and ginger, and that's what adds those beautiful, peppery, aromatic qualities to Stash. Imagine sitting down to the brief for Stash. And I'm going to paraphrase Sarah Jessica Parker's interviews about this perfume. She said, I want this perfume to be the perfume I've always dreamed of, creating something that breaks the rules, something everyone can wear. And she put in the press release that she wanted it to be as unique and valuable as a precious stone you have to stash away. So that's why it's called Stash. So here's the perfumer. You're talking with the creative director about their vision for the perfume. Then you go to your perfumer's organ and you start picking out all of the materials and you start building this woodsy, aromatic, nutty, musky, resinous, spicy marvel of a now iconic scent. Whenever I smell a perfume like Stash, it just really reinforces how much I respect and admire the art of perfumery. So this is Blue Silk from Agent Provocateur. This is a pretty beat up bottle. I got this one secondhand. I came kind of late to the discovery of Agent Provocateur perfumes. And so once I realized how good they were, I started like racking up discontinued bottles. And I might have mentioned this before, but the best thing about this secondhand purchase is that it arrived in my mailbox in a stovetop stuffing box. Which made me kind of like love it even more because who doesn't want to open a stuffing box to find perfume? So, what makes this particular perfume spicy is the pink pepper and the cinnamon. And I think I would even add into that the juniper note because to me, juniper is a very spicy green. So, I'll throw that into the spice mix as well. So, the cinnamon in Blue Silk is the most prominent of the spices. I would say followed by the pepper, and all of that is kind of like bumped up against a soft musk and a light woodiness. I don't really get a hefty floral from this at all. There is rose in it, but I think this is more along the lines of what you might call a skin scent, but make it spicy, which totally tracks for Agent Provocateur because it is a lingerie brand. Blue Silk is well named, and while all of the Agent Provocateur perfumes have like what I would say is a certain confidence to them, this one shows its confidence a lot more quietly. Oh, I love this bottle so much. This is Benjoin Boheme by Diptyque, and it is a dream of a perfume. Note list from Diptyque is very simple. It's amber, benzoin, balms, and spices. And I think that is quite a perfect note list because the spices in Benjoin Boheme are so seamlessly blended together that you cannot pick them out one by one. The benzoin is most definitely the hero note, and the spices are like an adornment that makes the benzoin more beautiful than it already is. The benzoin is what makes this perfume golden, and the spices are what make this perfume glow. So here is my little weirdo, L'Oreille de Bois from Jacques Fath. I love this perfume so much. The spices in this perfume are cumin, saffron, and cinnamon, and all of those spices are found in the base notes, which tells you that this perfume is literally grounded by the spices. It's an interesting wear with this perfume. It's like you're experiencing summer turning into fall all in one scent. It starts out with this sunny, citrusy burst, and then it morphs into those fluffy yellow florals. There's mimosa, orange blossom, ylang ylang, and then there's a transitional floral, which is broom, which kind of has a little bit of a hay-like quality to it. So with that addition of the broom, the floral heart is one of late summer. It's still yellow, but it's morphing not so slowly into orange. And so then in the dry down, the spices are joined by the sweetness of some honey, woods, amber, musk. And I always get like a little bit of sweet and sour from this perfume. Like the colder days are something to look forward to, but they're also a reminder of how fleeting the jacketless days of summer can be. I really love this perfume. It was an affordable blind buy from a discounter site, and it's one of my best purchases of this entire year. So this is Spiced Amber by independent artisan perfumer Darren Allen. I have spoken about his perfumes on my channel before. I admire Darren so much for his vision. His perfumes are very vintage inspired, and you know that that's something I love. So Spiced Amber is exactly as it sounds. It is a spicy amber perfume with cinnamon and clove. It has this gorgeous spicy plum note, and then Darren's specialty tuberose accord and a beautiful ambery heart. But the thing that I love the most about this perfume is that Darren has included the Mousse de Saxe accord in the base. So from one of my like rabbit hole perfume study sessions, I learned that Mousse de Saxe is a perfume base that dates all the way back to the late 1800s. So at that time, there were a number of pre-made perfume bases that were created by a guy named George Delaire. And these bases were like pretty groundbreaking at the time. They contained some new synthetic molecules like vanillin, for example, and some natural elements. And they were really like the first foray into creating the kinds of bases that you can find pre-made today on sites like Perfumer's Apprentice or other suppliers, ready-made foundational bases for perfumers. But at the time, bases like Mousse de Saxe were the first of their kind, so they were pretty innovative. So Mousse de Saxe is pretty interesting in the context of perfumery because it was the first base to kind of like conquer the use of the material IBQ, isobutylquinoline. That's the material that gives perfumes a leather note. And if you have ever smelled too much IBQ in a perfume, you would definitely know it. It's one of those really challenging materials to work with because, like, 1 millidrop too much can ruin an entire composition. So imagine the response when George Delaire created a base, slightly floral, a little bit green, and a little bit leathery, all in the right balance. It's like he took all of the legwork out and made it easier for perfumers to have access to this base accord. I mean, it was genius. So Mousse de Saxe is a base accord that you would find in perfumes like Habanita by Molinard and Opium by YSL. And again, it gives just the right amount of like a sweet green leatheriness to a composition without it becoming totally overwhelming. And so Darren is using the Mousse de Saxe base in spiced amber so beautifully. It gives this spicy amber perfume along with his signature beautiful tuberose and that spiced plum, a really wonderful texture in the dry down. Even though Opium is for sure the pinnacle of all spicy perfumes for me, I'm going to include a different vintage perfume in this video showcasing spicy perfumes, and it's the original Fendi in the EDT concentration. So when this was released in 1987, it fit right in with all of its similar counterparts. A big aldehydic, spicy floral chypre. And because Fendi was well known for their leather goods, this perfume has a leather note in the base, which is what I think makes it a little bit different from other perfumes in its same category like Isatis or Paloma Picasso from the same decade. So as I was thinking about Fendi and other perfumes from the 80s like Isatis, Paloma Picasso, Giorgio, Poison, all of those big, huge florals, it got me thinking about trends over the decades. So every decade has its thing. We have the green florals of the 70s, those big, loud, aldehydic florals of the 80s, the clean scents of the 90s, the fruity florals of the 2000s. And then for this last, decade, maybe even longer, we've been in the gourmand era. And I've been hearing a lot lately, like, when are we going to be done with gourmands? When are we going to stop smelling like cupcakes? But I don't think that the problem that people are experiencing is that everything smells like cupcakes. I think that that just happens to be what's on trend, just like every other trend we've seen come and go over the decades. But I think the difference is that there's just so much more of it. We are inundated with releases, not to mention the marketing of those releases flooding us on social media. And I bet you would not hear people talking about being sick of gourmands if there were only even like a few hundred releases a year. Instead, like back in the 70s and 80s, we'd be super excited for a new release. I don't know, that's like a diversion from spicy perfumes, but it was what was on my mind as I was thinking about making this video. Because after watching perfume trends come and go for the last 40 plus years, I don't think the problem is the trend. I think the problem is the volume. And you really can't blame the brands for wanting to get their piece of the pie, or maybe I should say their piece of the cupcake. Okay, so back to Fendi. So Fendi is gorgeous. It's got every note under the sun. It's heavy and heady and woodsy, and it smells like something I imagine a stunning Italian movie star like Sophia Loren or Gina Lollobrigida would have worn in the 1980s. It is one of the best of the 80s, hands down, and one of the best spicy perfumes in my collection. So there we have it, some of my favorite spicy perfumes. And I'm always looking for new things to smell, and you never disappoint. I write down every single recommendation that you share with me in my journal in the hopes that I will be able to smell everything you tell me about. So lay them on me. What are your favorite spicy scents? Thank you so much for watching, for spending your time here with me, and for chatting perfumes with me in the comments. I love that. I hope you have a really great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.